Hi, you're watching Investor Insights, and in this video I like to discuss copying the best. Now let me tell you a quick story. Over 20 years ago I was playing cricket somewhere and the bat that I had was just too heavy, too much of an ego, and it just didn't suit me. And I saw this big fella walk up to me. He had a tiny little bat. Not only was it tiny, but it had two great big chunks taken out from its back. It was called a Graynix Twin Scoop. They don't make them anymore. But that bat, when I picked it up, was as light as a feather. And I said, man, if I hit the ball with this, it's going to break in half. And the guy just said, don't worry about it, have a go. First ball that was bowled to me, man, I smacked it, we lost the ball practically. I was amazed. I thought, what is this? And he explained to me what it was. And he went on to say, it doesn't matter how big you are or what the size of a bat you think you want to use. In real life, use the best bat that there is. This bat was the one that was used by Brian Lara. Still to this day, the world record holder for both domestic and test scores. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And that guy's words have stuck in my mind ever since. Now, if you employ that philosophy in your investment life, it may or may not work for you. But more often than not, in the short term, it can cost you money. Let me give you an example. Do you know who the world's richest investor is? His name's Warren Buffett. I'm sure you've heard of him. Now this bloke is worth over $50 billion. He is worth a ton of change. And back during the global financial crisis, he bought into GE $5 billion worth, along with warrants that allowed him to buy another $5 billion. And he plowed $5 billion into Goldman Sachs, also with warrants that entitled him to buy another $5 billion at the same price. Now, if your philosophy or your mentality was such that if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me, and you had joined in, you would have seen Goldman Sachs, his entry point was 115, it went to 60. His entry point into GE was either 15 or 20 bucks. Conservatively, I'll say he was lucky he got in at 15. Subsequently, GE went to 5. So his $5 billion investment in Goldman Sachs halved, and his $5 billion investment into GE basically lost 2/3. If you got in at 20, it would have been 3/4. But anyway, I'm not dwelling on that. So he lost billions on paper. But the thing is, this guy's worth tens of billions. He can lose 3-4 billion and not even blink an eye. But this guy sees value within those companies over the long term. And he was right. He is always right, given enough time. But therein lies the secret of the uber rich. If you got crap loads of money and you believe in something and you have time, of course your trade's going to come right. But for the trader, or the very short-term investor, or even worse, the margin investor, you would have been freaking crushed. I mean, imagine watching a stock go from 115 to 60. Lot of boxes of tissues there, man. What about a stock that goes from 15 to 5? Man, I'm getting a sore neck from shaking my head. It would have been a painful one to swallow. I must admit, the GFC was a time of unparalleled market price mismatching against fundamentals. But because the market is full of lemmings and they were all jumping off the ship, they were happy to sell G down to $5. Some idiot sold the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is number 3 company in terms of earnings. Ridiculous. Their loss, Buffett's gain. But the mentality there is such that if you saw a stock go from 30 to 20, it's hard to push the button at 20. If you see it go from 20 then to 15, you're still hesitating because you can't see any buyers coming. It's even harder executing a trade at 15 despite it being a better entry point than 20. And then you see the stock go to 10, your hands are shaking now. You're too scared to buy the stock. I mean, it went from 30 to 10. Holy crap. Then it goes to 5. Man, you must be thinking, this thing's going to go to naught. But common sense should prevail. It should have never gone to 5. But unfortunately, I don't think it may have been through margin calls or institutions having redemptions and selling the most liquid asset that they had, but that was crazy selling G at $5. That was just insane. Goldman Sachs, it halved, and that was within weeks. It's a bitter pill to swallow. But if you look at those investments now, they've made him billions. And Warren Buffett didn't become the world's richest investor by making ridiculous and stupid decisions. So in the long term, he's always going to be right. But he has one thing that you don't have to shield him from all this volatility. And that's that crap load of money in the bank. So next time you adopt the strategy of follow the leader, follow the best, be careful. That's almost like lemming-like behavior. And you know what happened to them. But in general, if you see somebody get into a stock and they know what they're doing, more often than not, you can follow suit. But if you were to follow suit, you make sure you pick a perfect entry point, and you should be willing to take profits when they appear. This is especially true in crashing markets.